Okay, so here we go. So Common Core today, once again, we are going to be finding, and we're going to be finding roots. Same thing as zeros from, okay, finding roots or zeros from polynomials. Oh, once I start recording, I can't zoom in anymore, okay? From polynomials. And today we're going to include complex roots. Okay, so write that down, okay? So 1, 3, 2, 18, okay? So we're going to find roots or zeros, same thing, okay? Roots or zeros from polynomials. And when I say complex happens to be the i's, okay? Complex are the a plus or minus bi, okay? That is a complex number. Complex roots are the a plus bi. So we're going to have some I answers. We know, of course, that we get I answers, imaginary roots, we get I from the square root of negative 1, right? And so we're going to get some answers today where some of the answers are going to be I. So let's take a look at number 1, okay? So on number 1, it won't factor. It won't. But we're just going to solve it, okay? We're just going to solve it. So I'm going to go, okay, minus 4. So I'll have an x squared equals negative 4, right? Just first step, subtract 4, right? That makes sense. I'm going to square root both sides, right? So if I square root, how many answers? 2, right? Everybody agree with that? So I'm going to square root, right? If I square root, I get x equals plus or minus. Now, it's square root of 4 is 2, right? And I have a negative, so I get an I. You okay with the I? Okay, because I've got a negative, so I. And that's it. That wasn't too hard, was it? It's just minus 4. Took the square root of it. I'm going to get a square root of 4 is 2, and I get the I from the negative. Thumbs up? Thumbs up? Okay, guys, good. Okay, number 2. Okay. So it says by the quadratic formula. Before I do anything, though, I can make this problem easier. Does anybody see? Take a look at this problem. They are all divisible by 2, aren't they? I don't need to do this step, but for me, if I can make the problem easier, I will. So since I can divide everything by 2, it'll make my numbers smaller. Because it says quad formula, so if I've got to use my A, B, and C, let's use smaller numbers, okay? It can also, I'm going to rewrite this then as an x squared minus a 2x plus a 6 equals 0, okay? And then my answer, my numbers are smaller, okay? Now it does say by the quadratic formula, so I've got a 1, a negative 2, and a 6, right? I know my A is 1, my B is negative 2, and my C is 6, right? So I'm going to have to squish this quadratic formula in here because I didn't allow myself enough room, but that's okay. So let's try it. Negative B. I'm going to go negative 2, right? Negative 2 plus or minus square root B squared, which is negative 2 squared minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 6, all over 2 times A, which is 2 times 1, right? Okay, so I'm just plugging things into the quadratic formula. Again, I didn't give myself much room, so I'll have to squish some things in here. I'm going to get a positive 2 plus or minus the square root of a 4 minus 24 over 2, okay? I think we're going to have an I answer. Pretty sure we're going to get an I because I can see that I'll get a negative here. I'll get a negative 20, so I know for sure I'm going to have an I. So I'm going to have a 2 plus or minus the square root of a negative 20 over 2, okay? And I'll keep trying to squish it all the way down. Little side work. I'll do it up here. Square root of negative 20, little side work. You guys care with my side work? Could be square root of 4, square root of 5, square root of negative 1, okay? Little side work. See my little side work here? I'm going to take my negative, square root of negative 20. I'm going to get it to be a 2 square root of 5i. Because I want to break down and reduce the square root of 20, okay? So now I'm going to put this 2 square roots of 5i, I'm going to put right in here for the square root of negative 20. so I can reduce it. So let me go ahead and slide this back up. So I'm going to have a 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 5i all over 2, right? And by reducing it, that's going to help me because I'm going to be able to reduce the 2's also, right? So then I'll reduce that and I'll get really a 1 plus or minus 1 square root of 5i. You don't need this 1, but I put it in there anyway, okay? How's that? That's not too bad, right? We know the quadratic formula. We're pretty good at it. It's just kind of a pain, but sometimes it's the only thing we can do, okay? Okay, tell me when you're ready for me to slide it over. Ready for example 3? Okay, example 3. How many answers?
4.
4, you guys agree?
Yep.
4, totally agree. Yep. So let's factor. Let's go ahead and x squared, right? Minus 9 plus 9, right? How am I doing? So we got many equations, right? Got our many equations, so we can go x squared minus 9 equals 0 and x squared plus 9 equals 0, right? Okay, I'm just going to solve plus 9, x squared equals 9. Square root, right? Square root, but we know we're going to get plus or minus, right? Because of the x squared, plus or minus 3. That is the first two answers, right? Plus 3 and negative 3, positive 3 and negative 3. There's my first two answers. Over here, we'll do the same thing. Minus 9, because we're solving of an x squared equals a negative 9, right? Square root, we know we're going to have two answers, right? Plus or minus. And then the square root of 9 is 3, but we have an I. We're going to have an I on this one because of the negative, right? So plus or minus 3i. Okay, we did get 4 answers, didn't we? Natalie was right. We got 4 answers. Okay, are you ready for me to slide it over? Okay, number 4. Again, Natalie, how many answers? 4. Yep, I agree, 4 answers. So let's see if we can get 4 answers. So I'm going to factor this one. It will factor because I can see 9 and 4. See, a 9 and 4 will make the 36, but also make the 5, right? So I'm going to factor into, we'll go x squared, and 9 and 4 will work. I'm going to use a positive 9 and a negative 4, okay? I'm doing great. I'm going to make my mini equations, okay? So if I make my mini equations, I'll go an x squared plus 9 equals 0 and an x squared minus 4 equals 0, right? And I'm just going to solve. First one, minus 9, x squared equals negative 9, right? Hey, we just did this one, didn't we? In fact, this one's almost next to it, right? Same exact thing from here. Square root, we know that's going to be plus or minus 3i. Okay, we just did that one over here, right? Okay, and the other one, go plus 4, x squared equals 4. It's a positive 4 though, right? It's a positive 4, which is okay. We won't have an I, but square root, we'll get x equals plus or minus 2i. Oops, 2, not 2i, plus or minus just regular 2, my bad. It's Friday. So we got 4 answers. 2 of them were imaginary, and 2 of them were real. So we get 4. 2 imaginaries and 2 reals, right? All right. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Slide it over. Okay. So this is by grouping. So what I want to do is move things over so we can group. If I want to do it by grouping, let's make some groups. So let's bring this over here. And let's bring the 12 over. Okay. But if we want to put them in order, right? We want to put them in what we call descending order. So I'll start with an x cubed minus 3x squared because I have to subtract it to bring it over, right? Plus 4x minus 12 because I have to subtract the 12 to bring it over, okay? Now when I've got 4 terms and an x cubed, I'm going to do it by grouping, right? So I'm going to put these 2 together by grouping, and I'm going to put these 2 together by grouping, okay? So then I'm going to common factor these two first terms have an x squared in common. They have an x squared in common. So I'm going to take out an x squared, and I'll be left with just an x minus 3, okay? The second group has a multiple of 4 in common. So a common factor out of 4. And when I take out the 4, I'd have a x minus 3 equals 0, okay? Okay, by grouping then, I need to factor one more time. They both have a common x minus 3 in common, right? So I'm going to take out their common x minus 3. And when I factor that out, I'd be left with an x squared plus 4 equals 0, okay? Now, let's set up our mini equations, all right? Tammy, can you see okay back there?
I can see.
Okay, good. Okay, let's... Well, all right, let me keep going. Okay, I'll help you on homework, okay? We'll work together. So let me set up my mini equations. So so we'll go minis up here. Do my mini equations. So I'm going to have an x minus 3 equals 0. And I'll have an x squared plus 4 equals 0, right? And I'm going to go plus 3, plus 3. So I'll have one answer is x equals 3. I'll minus 4 on this one. Am I going slowly enough?
Yes.
Okay. X squared equals negative 4. And I'll get plus minus 2i. I will, but I'll show you how I'm going to get the 2i, okay? Square root, got to be two answers, right? It's got to be two answers, so that's where I get my plus or minus. The square root of 4 is 2, right? The square root of 4 is 2, but I have the negative, so I get an I. And I got 3 answers, right? Thank you, Katie. There's my 3 answers. 3 plus minus 3, okay? All right. Okay, moving over. You guys give me a thumbs up. Okay, now, these are actually pretty easy. These are actually pretty easy, okay? So first of all, to get a 3, to get an answer of x equals 3, it had to have come from an x minus 3, right? Does that make sense? To get an answer of 3, it had to have come from an x minus 3 equals 0, okay? To get an answer of negative 2, it had to have come from an x plus 2 equals 0, right? And to get an answer of 1, it had to have come from an x minus 1 equals 0, right? So we're just going backwards. We're going to try and make the question in factored form, okay? So then, let's go ahead and say, okay, well, the equation could be...
Mr. Davies, you pressed a button.
Let's do a worksheet. Oh, that's just weird.
I don't know. Thanks, Katie. Maybe I put this here so I can't put my elbow on it. Huh? So, my equation, p of x. They like p of x because it's a polynomial. That's why they like p. P of x, polynomial with respect to x, would be an x minus 3 times an x plus 2 times an x minus 1, okay? Now again, I'm going to go back to what Sully asked yesterday. Sully said, do I need to, or was it Katie? It was Katie. Katie asked Mr. Davies, do I need to multiply this out? And don't. Don't multiply this out. Keep it the way it is for 2 reasons. 1, this is the right answer. And 2, actually let me give 3 reasons. 2, it's a lot of work since you already have the answer. And 3, you might make a mistake, so keep this answer, right? Don't change it. Okay, example 7 is the same type of problem, okay? With a couple of small examples, differences, and then we get the 0 and we get the double root, okay? So the 2 occurs twice. We've got to make sure it happens twice. So I'd start with an x minus 2 equals 0 because that would give me an answer of 2, right? I'd also have to have another x minus 2 equals 0 because that would give me another 2, right? So I got both of them, 2 here, 2 here. I'd have to have x plus 1 equals 0 to give me the answer of negative 1, and then just x equals 0, okay? So let's take all 4 of these and make a polynomial. So let's go p of x then equals x minus 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 1, thanks Katie, times x. Okay, there's my x minus 2, I have x minus 2, x plus 1 times x. Okay, and that...
Could you rewrite that as x minus 2 squared times x plus 1?
You are awesome. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So, before Katie interrupted me because I was going to say exactly that. Thanks, Katie. I was going to say exactly that. I'm going to rewrite it. Katie, you're totally right. I'm going to rewrite like this. I like the x in front. You don't have to. I just like the x in front. I'm going to go equals x times x plus 1 times x minus 2 squared. Nice job, Katie. That's totally right. And you don't have to take this next step because they're both correct. It just looks nicer, doesn't it? Right? Okay, thumbs up. Okay, turn the page. See some of that. Okay, now rewrite this equation with these zeros. Okay, now before you do anything, there is one more zero. We got a missing zero. Okay. Okay, you gotta listen. Shh. Okay, you got it really, because it's something you haven't seen yet. Brand new stuff. There's a missing answer. These come in pairs. You've seen these. These come in plus or minus pairs. Right? You've seen these. These come in plus or minus pairs. So what we're missing is a 1 minus I. Okay? So that's my missing zero. Okay? Let's put that in there. So we could have, to get this, we know for sure that we're going to have a x minus 2 to get my 2, right? Agree with that? I'm also going to have a x plus 3 to get this one, right? Now, you need to write this formula down. Okay, I'm going to write a brand new formula. Okay, we're going to write this formula. Write down x squared minus the sum of x plus the product. Okay, write that down. X squared minus the sum of x plus product. Now this happens when we have imaginary roots, okay, when we have pairs, okay? So this only happens when we have imaginary numbers. Imaginary roots, okay? Now let me show you how that works, okay? So we still have two roots I haven't taken care of. I took care of the 2, you guys agree? I took care of the 3, right? But I haven't taken care of the 1 plus I or the 1 minus I. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to use this formula. So to use this formula, do a little work on the side. A little side work. And first I want the sum. Okay, the sum means to add. Okay, that means to add. The sum means to add. So my other 2 roots, my leftover roots, happen to be, highlight them, on a different color. Highlight them, okay. These are my leftover roots, okay. They need to be in there. They need to be in there. So what I need to do is take the sum. So what is 1 plus I added to 1 minus I, okay? I'm going to let you write that down. I'm going to explain, okay? Taking care of the 2 and 3 is easy. It's what do you do with the I? So you have to use this little formula, okay? So the little formula says x squared minus the sum of the roots plus the product. So I want to do the sum first. These are my leftover i's. So if I add these, I get a 2, because those cancel, right? So when I'm ready to write my next answer, I'm going to put a 2 right there, okay? I'm going to put this 2 right there, okay? Now the next part talks about the product. So let's take a look at the product. The product is going to be, we know that's like times, right? So I'm going to take my 1 plus I times my 1 minus I, okay? And I want to find the product, okay? It's a little different. You guys have never seen this before, okay? So I'm going to FOIL 1 minus 1i plus 1i minus I squared, right? Or you get a 1, these cancel, you get minus a negative 1, which makes a 2 also. Only coincidence is 2 in this case, okay? Now, if you haven't figured out where the I button is on your calculator, I know a lot of you had, okay? You want to see this? On your calculator, you do indeed have an I button in your calculator right here, okay? So I could, if I wanted to, I could have gone parentheses 1 plus I times 1 minus I, right? Same answer, okay? Same answer, okay? You do have an I button in your calculator, okay? So now, what does this mean? Let's go back, okay? Let me back us all up. So I know that the sum of the roots was 2. You guys agree we got 2? And the product was 2. So here's the rest of my answer. Parentheses, x squared minus 2x plus 2, okay? There's the rest of my answer. P of x is equal to P of x, okay? And I ran out of room, so I won't do example 9 because example 9 works the same, okay? So let me go ahead and before I finish, I'm almost done, because this is the hard one, okay? So we're recreating it. We know these are the 2 is easy. X minus 2, you guys agree? X minus 2, that's easy. X plus 3, that's going to make the negative 3. So to get this, if you were to do the quadratic formula with this, you would get 1 plus I and 1 minus I. Does that make sense? And I got it from using this little formula here. Okay, that's all I have today. I've got page 449. I've got 1 to 4, 11 to 14, 16, 17, and 19. Okay? And we are going to start.